All right, Shalom.
Well,
Before we begin this lesson, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory unto
to
Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Ba'asham, Rakah, Kodash. We want to give a double honors to the elders and the apostles out there, chiefly of Great Millstone, where we learnt this truth from. Okay, because we recognize that them brothers have the truth. And we want to put it out there before we go any further that we are not a part of GMS, we're not a part of Great Millstone. Okay, but we do follow under their doctrine. And we say this because we don't want to get it twisted and have people think that because we're giving double honors to them, that we are claiming to be a part of GMS. And we don't want to, in any way give them a bad reputation or a bad name or anything like that.
In any way.
Exactly. So we just feel like we have to put that out there to remind you people that, might be thinking that we're part of Great Millstone just because we mentioned their name. Okay? So shalom to you elders and apostles out there of Great Millstone. We also want to give shalom to the Akwaf out there that are in order. Okay? Because we need our sisters in order, man. You sisters are very valuable to the nation of Israel. But only when you're in order, because if you're not in order and you're being proud and, fitting the characteristics of these demons running around today, these monstrous monsters, okay, then, you're counted as a dog, really. You're nothing special, okay, because our women are greatly destroyed these days. And, we want to give a shalom to you women that are in order because, you're precious to us, man. We need more women like you setting a good example to the younger sisters out there. All right? Very important. And that's a big part in being in this truth is you women being humble, being in order, and being a good example to the younger sisters, okay? Teaching your kids the right way, bringing your children up the right way. Very important, man. Okay? We also want to give shalom to you brothers and sisters that may look like these other nations, but you're actually an Israelite. If your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and if you follow this truth and you do your best to keep the laws of the Most High and to learn under the right teachers, okay? Shalom to you, man.
Shalom.
All right, so this lesson today, we're going to touch bases on this thing about Asian hate, man. Okay? Because apparently Asians are oppressed. As if they're the new face of oppression and, they just want to sweep our oppression under the rug, take the attention off of us. Like we ain't oppressed as a nation, It's absolutely ridiculous, You Asians out there, you may be catching a little hatred here and there on a small scale, but it don't compare in the slightest to the oppression that we've suffered as the children of Israel, our so-called blacks, so-called Latinos, and so-called Native Americans, which are the true biblical Israelites. Our oppression is so big that it's biblical, man. Your oppression, your little poxy little oppression is not biblical because it's small. It's very small. We really want to bring out this this topic of Asian hate, man. So-called Asian hate, as if you people are oppressed. Absolutely ridiculous, man. Even to this day, you got our people suffering Jim Crow laws, homelessness. When do you ever see a homeless Chinese man, Your oppression doesn't amount to our oppression, man. Okay? I'm not saying in China there aren't homeless so-called Chinese men. I'm sure there are a lot of, low-down Chinese men in China, man. It's quite a poor place in some spots. But talk about in America, man, or anywhere that we've been scattered to, you got us homeless, man. We're the face of homelessness. We're the face of the incarcerated. The list goes on, man. We're in the ghettos, all over the world. You see so-called Chinese people anywhere in this world apart from their own land. They ain't in ghettos. Okay, they're living nice. They're driving around in nice cars. going to the nice shopping centers, buying designer gear and all that, man. Okay, handing down generational wealth. But before I babble on, man, okay, we're going to jump into a few scriptures relating on this topic, man. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. First off, I think I want to jump into the scripture Zephaniah 2 and 1, okay, because this describes who we are as the Israelites in this world today and how we're looked at. All right, so this is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, and verse 1. It says, "Gather yourselves together, gather together, O nation not desired." Who do you think that nation not desired is? Is it the Asians? Okay, is this talking about Moab? Nah, man. This is specifically focusing on the biblical Israelites. Who is the nation in this earth that is well known to be the most oppressed and hated in this world? These curses are following us as a sign to let the world know who the biblical Israelites are, man. We fit every curse of Deuteronomy, where we will be a laughing stock or a reproach or an astonishment among these nations, among these other nations where we've been scattered to. Okay, we're forced to live amongst these other nations that don't like us. This is our punishment, okay, as the children of Israel for breaking that blood covenant that we made with the Most High in the wilderness when we delivered out of the land of Egypt, out of captivity. Okay, we broke that covenant and now we're having to pay for it. So these nations hate us. This is why the scriptures say here that we are that nation not desired, and we are commanded to gather together under the truth, under the name of Yahushua. Okay? You so-called blacks, so-called Latinos, so-called Native Americans, you're all brothers, you all have common enemies, you're all oppressed, we all have the same spirit. Okay? And if you can't recognize it, it's because you're not spiritual. And the Most High didn't bless you with the eyesight to see. You know, because you do have a lot of our people that believe that the so-called Native Americans and the so-called Latinos are not our brothers. How blind can you be? You know, you got all kind of hip-hop stars that are Spanish. What, they get an N-word pass? You know, anytime they say N-word in their rap videos or R&B videos or whatever, no one kicks up a fuss, because in your spirit, you know there are people, man. They got the same spirit as us, you know? It's just a lot of you want it to be some kind of black power movement, man. It's your problem. But that's a bit off topic, man. Let me get back on topic. So, we're commanded in Zephaniah 2 and 1 to gather together as that nation not desired. Okay, these other nations despise us. They don't desire us. You know, they flee far from us and spare not to spit in our face.
Okay, and you're probably wondering, like, because when you look at the scriptures, you've got the Lord created 18 nations, right? And you got to ask yourself, because they weren't called the Chinese in the scriptures. We weren't called the African Americans in the scriptures. We weren't called white people in the scriptures. They were given biblical names. So in order to understand what the scriptures are saying and who it's identifying when it talks about a specific race of people, you know, you can go back to the, Sodom and Gomorrah, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, which you can find in Genesis, early chapter. But the point I want to get to is where the Chinese and the Japanese originate from. You know, so when you go in, you read through the story of Sodom and Gomorrah and the end result of Sodom and Gomorrah, which was complete annihilation, destruction off the face of the earth. You know, even to this day. And then you had Lot and his wife and his daughters flee the city. Lot's wife turned around and was turned into a pillar of salt. So Lot escaped into the mountains with his two daughters. So when you read the book of Genesis, chapter 19, verse 30 on down, it gives you the story of how the so-called Japanese and Chinese came about. And they're referred to as Ammon, which is the Japanese, and Moab, which is the Chinese. So when the scriptures mention Moab, they're referring to the ancient biblical name for the Chinese, or the so-called Chinese. You know, so I think it's important to understand like the biblical narrative of these nations, because it's important. Because when we read scriptures, most high willing, we bring some scriptures out shortly. It will say the nation as it was back then. So it won't say Chinese. It will say the nation of Moab, or along them lines, roughly paraphrasing. So I just thought I'd mention that and bring that out. You can read Genesis chapter 19, but for the sake of time, I'm just not going to go into that. But that's where you can read about where the Chinese and the Japanese came from.
Can, man. You know, because it's very important for you to understand that, to understand how these people came to be a nation, because they wasn't here from the beginning. Okay, and the first Moabites, so-called Chinese people that came to this earth, were melanated. You know, I mean, they are still to this day. They just don't have as much. You know, they've been lightened over generations. Okay, they've become lighter through seed mixing and stuff. You know,
That's right, and that's why, like, when you go into like a lot of Chinese will get offended if you call them Japanese, and a lot of Japanese will get offended if you call them Chinese, because they know they're different. It's like the same thing when you have the Africans and then you have the Israelites. You can't call us Hamites or Africans, because we're Israelites.
that's right.
But what's happened with history is that they've misconstrued it so much that they put us all in the same boats, and then they can make arguments like, well, Africans sold other Africans into slavery. No, that's not correct. Hamites, Africans, sold Israelites, African Americans, into slavery.
So-called African Americans
So-called,
and the Southern Kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, the so-called Negroes. Okay, they're the ones that went into slavery on ships. Okay, and that's all written in the book of Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68. You can read it for yourself. Okay, and keep in mind that the word Egypt means bondage. It doesn't mean the land of Egypt. Okay, but yeah, so you know, that's the biblical nation of Moab. Okay, and Ammon. Okay, Ammon are the so-called Japanese. Okay, but the Bible mentions these people quite a bit. Okay, and as a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and bring out Second Ezra chapter 15, and we'll start at verse 46.
So this is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 15, verse 46. And it reads, "And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person."
That's right, you know, because Asia is the glory of Babylon, you know, is you know, the one that's making all the products for Babylon and stuff like that. You know, they go hand in hand, you know, America and China. You know, a lot of products are made in China. You know, they do a lot of deals together. Okay, that's why the beginning of their war. You know, because you see this beef escalating between America and China, but it's starting off as a trade war because they do a lot of deals together, a lot of trade together, make each other rich. So this is mentioned in the Bible right here in this scripture. We're reading it, man. You know, so yeah, go ahead and read on.
Verse 47 says, "Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee."
That's right, you know, because Asia, they following the customs of America, man. You know, they like all that designer stuff. They celebrate, you know, Christmas, and you know they're all in America's movies and stuff, man. Rush Hour, and they go hand in hand, Esau and Moab, man. You know, and they look up to America. You know.
I mean, even down to their women, you know, their lighter complexion is almost like a tribute to the Edomites. You know, they think having lighter skin, fairer skin is a good thing. So all the Chinese that are melanated, that darker shade, they're the ones that are pushed out into the countryside.
That's right, man. Yeah. They're not putting the spotlight right there in your face and your TV commercials and your movies and your TV programs and stuff. Because apparently in their eyes it's shameful to have dark skin.
Exactly.
You know? These people claim to be hated by and they're pushing it to make it look like it's our people oppressing them. But we're going to get deeper into that in a few minutes, most high willing, man. Because you'll find that it's the opposite.
我怕你不同意。
我怎么会不同意呢？年轻的时候是中国援非医疗队救了妈妈的命，现在中国的孩子们来到非洲为我们修铁路，还把我的小卡瑞培养得这么出色。我爱中国人，我爱中国。
阿姨好，呀，太热情了。
老师送给你水果，
谢谢阿姨。
老师啊，卡瑞在家里听。
蒙内铁路的乘务员身份不同了，美的不行了。
They like to be very racist toward our people, and then when they experience a little bit of racism here toward them, they can't handle it. You know, we've been suffering by racism for years, man, hundreds and thousands of years, really. You know what I mean? But these Asians, man, now they're starting to, you know, apparently be the face of this virus and all that. You know, that apparently they spread it and this and that, and they can't handle being talked about in that way. You know, being looked at as somebody that's a problem or has caused some issue in the world. You know, so they're trying to flip it and make it look like, no, you're the problem. Okay.
Yeah. Case in point, remember when the CV virus first sort of made an appearance? It was the nation of Edom that was pushing that it was from China. You know, you had Donald Trump who was saying that it was from China, and then you remember they started saying no, it was Africans that were carrying it. And what happened during that time, if you remember? What was the backlash of how the Chinese treated some of them were Hamites, but there could have been our people there too. Look how they treated them. They were kicking them out of the house, like in the streets.
They wouldn't let them stay in the hotels.
Exactly.
You know, they were treating them like scum, man.
Yeah.
You know, these people were sleeping on the streets and stuff. They were treated very poorly, man.
Yeah.
You know?
And that goes to show you, it's like, okay, well, you know, you're sitting there now painting the image that we're out here being the monsters or the attackers or the aggressors. But what happened then? You know, why wasn't that shown? Why are you not bringing that back up? You know, we ain't out here just attacking people. You know, we're the most what's the word I'm looking for? Compassionate. We're the most compassionate nation. Okay. I mean, we went through slavery for 400 years, having our backs whipped and everything. And now we're here trying to vote and incorporate and just be equal with you. And then some of our people are even, you know, cooning for you. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't say that ain't compassion, then
that's it, man.
Who knows, man?
You know, our people get oppressed and then still want to hug their oppressor.
Yeah.
You know, we're the most compassionate people out there.
What do they call that? Stockholm Syndrome?
That's it, Stockholm Syndrome. But you got the accuser of the brethren out there trying to accuse us as being the problem, you know? Trying to paint that narrative that we're the issue, you know? And it's because they control the narrative. They're the ones that are in control of the media. You know, you people follow everything Esau says like sheep, which is why you're all lining up for this jab. You know what I mean? And walking around wearing masks and this and that. You just obey orders because you're sheep, you know? And anything Esau says is just, you take it for gospel, all you people out there, man. You need to look into the meaning of the word sheep, you know? It's dealing with the masses, the people that blindly follow, blind leaders, basically, you know? I just want to make a point in verse 47, 2nd Ezra 15 and 47, where it says, because thou hast made thyself like unto her. You know, another example of that is the fact that you've got Esau running around, taking over people's lands, colonizing, and now you're doing the same thing, Moab. You know, you Moabites are the new colonizers, man. Look what you're doing in Africa. You're colonizing the hell out of Africa.
Not just Africa. They got Jamaica as well.
Yeah, and Barbados is it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You people are the new colonizers. You know what I mean? So this fits you to a T. You're making yourself just like Edom, man. So this fits you to a T. All right, so we're gonna read on.
Okay, so verse 48. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore, saith the Most High, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy house with destruction and death.
Right. I think we'll stop there, but I'm going to break that down. So in verse 48, where it says, thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works. Who's that her? It's talking about Babylon, because Babylon is America and is known as the daughter of Babylon.
Lady Liberty.
That's it, Lady Liberty, the whore that sitteth upon many waters. There's many names for this country, man. Okay, but it's saying that thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. America is hated of the Most High for the abominations it spews out in this world, man. And all nations have drunken of the wine of her fornication. Okay? So this is what it's talking about. You know, you followed her, making yourself like unto her. You know, you Asians just look up to America like you just want to be like, just like these Americans, you know.
You're the next economy to, well, supposedly the next economy to take over America.
That's it.
Which is why you're having this trade war right now.
That's right, man. So anyway, we felt like we had to bring that out to show you that you're mentioned quite a bit in these scriptures, you Moabites, man. Okay, when it says Asia, it's talking about you. Right, the next scripture we want to turn to is the book of Lamentations, chapter 2 and verse 15 onward. All right, so the reason we want to bring out these scriptures here is because it describes how these other nations feel about us, you know. It's pretty much a precept to Zephaniah 2 and 1 where it says, we're that nation that's undesired. We are that nation that's not desired in this world, man. We're looked at as the scum of the earth. Everybody in this world seems to think that the world will be a better place without us. And when I say everybody, I don't mean like literally. You do have some people that seek to please the poor in these end days, man. As the scriptures state, you know, marching in Black Lives Matter rallies for us and all that, trying to have a heart toward us and stuff, man. Because they're starting to realize that, dang, these people actually are oppressed. These people are treated like crap. But you still got a majority of you out there that can't recognize it because you don't want to see it, man. It's because in your spirit you have that perpetual hatred toward us, as the scriptures state also, you know, that you people have a perpetual hatred toward us. So we're going to bring this out and I'll break it down as we go along.
This is Lamentations chapter 2 verse 15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee, and they hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, "Is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole world, of the whole earth?"
That's right, because that's what we are known as, or were known as when we were known to be the children of Israel back in the ancient days, man. When it was common knowledge who we were in this world, which was beaten out of us during the transatlantic slave trade. Before that, we were known as the city that men call the perfection of beauty. Because when it talks about the daughter of Jerusalem, it's a people before it's a place, man. It's talking about the people. It's talking about us. Okay? So it says, all that pass by, clap their hands at thee. They hiss. They wag their head. They're like, look at these people. Well done. Yeah, okay. It's you again. Troublemakers. This is what they think of us, man. We're looked at as disgusting among these nations, man. And the fact that we're cursed, because our hair doesn't grow very well, you mainly you sisters out there, that's one of the curses. So when they see us with our sisters wearing weaves all the time, or our sisters with short, knotty hair, they look at them and just like, you're disgusting. The way they look at us and think of us, man. They don't realize that it's all biblical. This is the reason why we're in a low position. We were never always this way, but it ain't gonna last forever. So all you people out there that want to treat us like crap and hiss and wag your head and clap your hands at us, as the scriptures state, you're going to regret that in the end.
But yeah, just to jump in on that as well, like look at the sisters out there that wear these weaves and wigs and everything like that. Who owns them shops?
That's a good point too, man.
Who owns them?
That's right.
They make merchandise of you,
Mm-hmm.
and then they send the money back to their families and put their kids through schools, and they sit there and laugh at us, like hiss, like these people are nothing, and that's why you see videos of these Asian shops attacking our women, and our women, we ain't gonna sit there and say our women ain't out of order. Because a lot of them are out of order.
Most of them, yeah. We've been destroyed as a nation. Man.
Exactly, which is another curse.
But it ain't always going to be that way. And this is what you people need to understand. So when we're on top, you might be regretting being one of them that partook in the hissing and wagging of your head at us, Because then you're going to realize when we're back in our right mind and in our right state that we actually were the top nation, as it states in the book of Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Okay, that we're the top, we're the nation above all these nations, man. And we weren't quite what you thought we were. So I'm going to just quick read that one more time. This is Lamentations chapter 2 verse 15. It says, all that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss, wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty and the joy of the whole earth? Because that's what we were. We were the joy of the whole earth, man. And that's what we're supposed to be. But we're not in our right head because we're under the curses right now for disobeying the Lord. But now that we're coming back into remembrance of who we are, as stated in the book of Baruch chapter 2 and verse 30, things are about to change very soon. This is why you see all hell breaking loose in the earth right now. Because basically the earth revolves around us, whether you'd like to believe it or not. I know that sounds far-fetched, but it's actually true. When you understand the deep breakdowns of this Bible, you understand that everything that's going on in the earth right now is because we're coming back into remembrance of who we are. And the Lord is getting ready to return and deliver us. This is what the meaning of salvation is. Which you Christians get confused, man. You think that after you die, you go to heaven or hell. That's nothing to do with salvation, man. That's not what salvation is. Salvation is to be delivered from our enemies. It's talking about the Israelites. Only the Israelites can receive salvation. Because this is what salvation is all about. It's about the deliverance of the Israelites, man, from our oppressors and all that hate us.
Okay, so this is off the back of the scripture about, like them hissing and making comments and doing all kinds of things against us, right? This is the book of Exodus, chapter 11, verse 7. And it says, "But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord, Yahweh, doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel." So that's going into the Africans and the Israelites, the Hamites versus the Israelites, we're different people. But it says, "Against the children of Israel shall not a dog move its tongue." So all these other nations are counted as dogs, right? And all these nations that came up against us, they're going to have to pay for that. You're you're messing with the Lord's treasure.
The apple of his eye.
The apple of his eye. That's right. Would you let somebody hurt your child and not want to, do something to them about it?
That's it, man. That's right.
A lot of people, share the same sentiment. We ain't carnal, but a lot of people would definitely take a case, take a court case for their children.